Welcome to The Real Crime Diary, Daily Dose of Crime. Today, we delve into a shocking execution that's making headlines and raising questions about justice and humanity. What happens when a controversial method of capital punishment is put to use? The case we're about to explore will challenge your perceptions and leave you questioning the very nature of our justice system. On Thursday evening, Alabama executed Alan Eugene Miller, a 59-year-old death row inmate, using a method that's stirring up intense debate across the nation. Miller was put to death by nitrogen hypoxia, marking only the second time this controversial execution method has been used in the United States. The execution took place at a prison in Atmore, where Miller was pronounced dead at 6:38 p.m. This case has thrust the spotlight onto nitrogen hypoxia, a method that involves replacing oxygen with 100% nitrogen gas, effectively suffocating the inmate. Critics argue that this method is tantamount to torture, raising serious ethical questions about its use in capital punishment. The controversy surrounding nitrogen hypoxia stems from concerns about the potential for prolonged suffering and the lack of extensive testing on humans. Miller's execution has reignited the debate over the humaneness and constitutionality of this method, with human rights advocates and medical professionals voicing strong opposition. As more states consider adopting nitrogen hypoxia for executions, Miller's case serves as a lightning rod for discussions about the future of capital punishment in America. The execution process of Alan Eugene Miller was a harrowing spectacle that has left many questioning the humanity of nitrogen hypoxia as a method of capital punishment. Witnesses described a disturbing scene as Miller was strapped to the gurney. For about 2 minutes, he shook and trembled violently, his body at times pulling against the restraints that held him down. This was followed by 6 agonizing minutes of periodic gulping breaths, a sight that sent chills down the spines of those present. Throughout this ordeal, nitrogen gas flowed into Miller's mask for approximately 15 minutes. Officials from the Alabama Department of Corrections insist that everything went according to plan and followed their established protocol. Commissioner John Hamm stated that the involuntary body movements were expected as the body was depleted of oxygen. However, the eyewitness accounts paint a picture that seems far from the quick and painless death that proponents of this method have promised. The prolonged duration of visible distress raises serious questions about the humaneness of nitrogen hypoxia as an execution method. Is this really a more ethical alternative to other forms of capital punishment, or are we witnessing a new form of cruel and unusual punishment? Let's turn back the clock to 1999, when Alan Eugene Miller's name first became synonymous with a horrific crime. Miller was convicted of brutally murdering 3 men: Lee Holdbricks, Scott Yancey, and Terry Lee Jarvis. His motive? He believed these men were spreading rumors about him. But Miller's story didn't end with his conviction. For over 2 decades, he was embroiled in a complex legal battle that would challenge the very nature of how we carry out capital punishment. In September 2022, Alabama attempted to execute Miller by lethal injection. However, in a twist that sounds more like a dark comedy than real life, officials couldn't find a suitable vein before the execution warrant expired. This botched attempt led to further legal wrangling. Miller then sued the state, challenging their nitrogen hypoxia protocol on the grounds that it could cause undue suffering. It's a case that forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about what constitutes humane execution, if such a thing exists at all. Nitrogen hypoxia as an execution method has sparked intense debate in the criminal justice world. Supporters argue it's a more humane alternative to lethal injection, claiming it causes rapid unconsciousness and a painless death. But medical experts aren't so sure. They warn that the effects of pure nitrogen on the human body are largely unknown and potentially devastating. The United Nations didn't mince words after the first nitrogen hypoxia execution earlier this year. They condemned it as nothing short of state-sanctioned torture. This harsh criticism stems from witness accounts describing prolonged suffering during the procedure. Despite the controversy, some states are pushing forward. Alabama, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Louisiana have all authorized nitrogen hypoxia for executions. As more states consider adopting this method, the ethical questions only grow louder. Is this truly a more humane way to carry out capital punishment, or are we venturing into dangerous, uncharted territory? As we wrap up today's episode, we're left with unsettling questions about the ethics and effectiveness of capital punishment. The execution of Alan Eugene Miller by nitrogen hypoxia has reignited debates about humane methods of execution and whether such methods can truly exist. What are your thoughts on this controversial execution method? Do you believe it's a step forward in making capital punishment more humane, or is it just another form of cruel and unusual punishment? Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that challenge our understanding of justice. Until next time, this is MHB signing off from The Real Crime Diary.